to the channel. I am Joy, and I feel stupid because I feel like I have to start with an apology. Am I just becoming a real YouTuber now? I'm so sorry, and just start crying and acting like you're not sorry. You know what sucks though? A lot of times those people actually do feel bad about something, and everybody just nitpicks even the apologies, because that's what we do. We all nitpick each other to non-existence. And I don't always like it, but I feel like I have to apologize for wearing this hoodie. I won't get too far into it, but today I'm having a little bit of a health flare-up. I wasn't even gonna film, but my video, thank you guys so much if you haven't seen it, the video on Trisha Paytas for this channel is doing well. I'm not saying it's exploding, but it's doing well, and I love watching this channel grow. Like I said, this channel, it's just kind of a fun side project that I'm just kind of seeing what I can do with. I kind of really don't think it's ever going to be able to go anywhere because of all the things that have happened, because of the type of channel it is. But also I wanted to let you guys know, if you want to see me every day, I have another channel that I'm growing called Katie's Insight. Like and subscribe. Subscribe and hit notifications. This channel is all about stimulus news. I'm just trying to help people find money where they can and give information about the stimulus and finances. And make sure you hit notifications when you subscribe. That way when money pops up in your area or from the government, you can be the first to apply if you need to apply before it runs out. So make sure and do that. And if you feel called to watch the videos, like them, comment, share. Let me know what you think. I'd love to hear what you have to say. Or if you like stuff like this channel, subscribe here. Make sure and give us a big subscribe and hit notifications here so you can know when I'm uploading. Like the videos. If you don't mind just supporting this channel, leave comments. I really want to know what you guys think about this type of content and what type of content you like to see. Also, I have other videos on this channel. I did one about Britney Spears, her mental health. I did one about Princess Diana. I did one about Shane Dawson. I did one about relationships and Donald Trump, and apparently he's working with aliens. I'm gonna disclose it. Go check those videos out, see what you think, and then just let me know when you can. Okay, on with the video. Any growth is always really fun, so I thought I would do a follow-up because I feel like I didn't get to say everything in the last video. In fact, y'all probably heard me. If you watched the whole thing through, I cut it off short because I was just like, you know, there's so many things I want to say, but this video is already 45 minutes long. Y'all know me, not that I mind a long video, but I don't want to make your ears bleed too much. But I feel like I have to apologize because I'm having so part of the condition I have, it doesn't happen often. It might be once a month. Right now, I think maybe it's once every couple months. I have this thing called gastroparesis. This has to do with dysautonomia. It has to do with your vagus nerve. So basically the upper muscles of, I'll tell you what it feels like. The upper muscles of my stomach will spasm. And it's one of the most painful things I've ever experienced. Now, it'll depend on how severe it is, right? So, but when it gets bad, and it got bad last night, it's horrific. But the good news is, this happening is actually a good, I've been having some vagus nerve issues lately. These are good signs because I think I'm in the process of healing it. The vagus nerve and the nervous system I'm learning heals differently than other parts of the body. So it's a good sign. I'm just uncomfortable. So if you kind of see me kind of catch my breath and look a little weird, that's why. You know, everything's okay. I'm safe. So I don't want to put that out there because before I'd be having things happen, didn't know. And if you don't know what this is, it feels terrifying. It absolutely feels terrifying for this kind of stuff. The pain is so bad, guys, when it gets severe. I liken it to childbirth. And that's not me trying to put down childbirth, but you know, that's contraction of the muscles. This is very painful spasms that can make me very weak. I get very stomach sick. So, but then I feel stupid because I'm like, I shouldn't have to come on here and apologize that I'm in a hoodie. And also, I think this is a pretty cute hoodie. It's like a hoodie dress, so it's super long. I love little hoodie dresses. I love this, and it's pink. I love the color pink, and I just feel warm and cozy in it. I put on a lot of fall and winter vanilla scents, so I feel really good. I love body sprays. I don't know if you guys know this, but I love body sprays. I love smelling good, and for a few years I couldn't wear any because I kept having these bad reactions from what I didn't know was the histamine disorder and everything else. And now that I'm getting rid of that and we're fixing it because we know what it is, I can wear body sprays, which I love. So I love just smelling good, especially if you have to be at home. I just want to be able to be comfortable in my home, you know? And I still have, at minimum, several more months of work to do on my body. I probably have a good year before I can really look at maybe being self-sufficient and really independent, depending. So that's a whole nother topic. But I just wanted to say thank you for all the support, and I feel very stupid for having to apologize for being in a hoodie. But I think, by the way, some of these videos are just ramble videos, so you guys are aware. From what I went through on the channel before with people nitpicking my appearance, so bad and in such a mean fashion, and the truth was back then, I just did not have the energy or the strength a lot of days to make myself look decent. I just didn't. So I just come on, I'd have my bun up in a hair, you know, my hair up in a bun. I'd have I'd have a hoodie on, no bra, pajamas, but that was the best I could do. And I'm better where I can somewhat like make myself look more presentable. But at the same time, it bothers me because how many men today are going to upload a video with a hoodie on? Nobody's going to say anything, you know? So I feel like there's still a very big double standard with women, period, especially on our appearance, where a dude not brushing his hair and putting on a hoodie and filming is not going to be any big deal. But if I do it, people are going to tear it apart. So I feel very stupid that I feel like I have to apologize. But, and at the same time, I like to dress up. I like to make myself look presentable, but I also have to work in the confines of healing my health. I think that's important. So, okay, speaking of double standard for women, I want to elaborate more on the Trisha, gotta breathe a little bit, like that. If you see me do that, that's why I'm fine. And by the way, this is treatable with what's going on. Basically, my vagus nerve will get stressed, act up, and then my stomach muscles will spasm. But I have antispasmodic medication. So it's like antispasm medication. The problem is I can't take too much of it. And it has to be severe for me to take it, because if I take it and the symptoms aren't severe, my nervous system is very sensitive to all medications. So I start getting like all the side effects you can get, I get times 5. And there's nothing I can do but wait it out. And it really messes with my heart. It gives me really bad arrhythmias, goes up and down and up and down. And it's not fun. So I have to do it 2.5 milligrams at a time. So I want you guys to know I'm okay. Cause I know people were worried and scared before, and I was worried and scared, and I didn't mean to put that on you guys. That was where I was at. And that was the best, like, honestly, that was the best I could do during that time. And we're going to talk about double standards of women, health, Trisha Paytas. So if you didn't see the first video, this one isn't going to make sense. Please go check out that first video, because this one might not make sense unless you do. And I will have links in the description, and I'll have links in the cards so you guys can go see it. But what are we talking about? Trisha Paytas. So she left her very popular, very successful Frenemies show. I think this is like the second time she's quit. I've seen the show. I've seen parts of it a couple times. I know, and I don't keep up to date with Trisha that much. I did for a while. Like I know some about her, but, and when I did the video yesterday, I did it from the perspective of Trisha's mental health. Now, I will say this as far as I can. I'm not a doctor. It is not my job, nor could I ever diagnose somebody, nor is that my intention to tell somebody what's wrong with them. What I was trying to say is, as somebody who has grown up around, in not good environments, I can very much sympathize, and I can very much, I feel like, relate to and understand Trisha in the mental health patterns that she has, because I've exhibited some of those in the past, where you are so disrespected. You have, no respect whatsoever or from the people around you. Sometimes you even get just people being mean, nonstop negativity you can't get out of, and then you just condition yourself to believe that you deserve it. But as human beings, all human beings on some innate level know that they should deserve some type of self-respect, love, and acceptance, right? And even not love and acceptance, self-respect for them as a being. And when that doesn't happen, and you just keep taking that, and you either can't get out of it, or you're so conditioned that you stay in it, depending on the situation. Like I grew up in it, so for many years I couldn't leave, right? And then sometimes you get in a situation where you get trapped in it, and then you either mentally get trapped or your finances are entwined. I always find it interesting when I hear certain people, especially men, when they're like, there's no excuse for women to stay in a bad relationship. If you have to, crawl out of there on your hands and knees, you do. And I'm like, you have no idea what society, how they manipulate mentally and brainwash women to where that's not always the case. And furthermore, what happens if the situation is so bad, it affects her physical health. The stress affects her physical health, and then she can't. And you don't have the support anywhere in your life. I always kind of giggle a lot of times when I hear that narrative from men, because I'm like, I understand why it might look that way to you, but that's a lack of perspective, not having any clue what we go through and what it does to us. When society is constantly telling you you're less than and putting you down, and you're not to be respected and taken seriously, that takes years to undo. I'm 36 and I'm still learning about it in my life, and not just for me, but the way we treat women as a whole. We don't always look at women in society as people, especially with men. We look at them more as objects, which is why I think that for a lot of men, they're so comfortable in, to get to where they are physically mean to women, please infer. So sorry, I'm kind of going off on some tangents here, and I figured that would happen, but I want to talk more about this because I kind of dove into it a little more. and more information came out, and I kind of wanted to see what was going on because, like I said, I came at it more from the angle of not so much what happened, more that, I mean, some of what happened on the show, but more about Trisha's patterns. And I also want to say everything I'm saying, I say in respect to all these people. I like all these people. I like Trisha. I like Ethan. I like Hila. There is zero disrespect meant. It is all love, all positivity, all peace. And I hope that comes out. I hope my intention is I'm delivering my intention correctly, and I hope y'all are receiving it in the way that I'm intending for it to come out. So, okay, so let's talk about this a little more. So, Ethan and Hila, they went on and did another podcast, and they talked about the situation. And so I heard some really interesting things. First of all, like, it sounds to me, at least on camera, because here's the thing, outside, off the camera, you never know who people are. And sometimes the people are the same on camera as off, but I feel like in the YouTube world, it's more often than not that that's the case. It doesn't happen as much. I always tried to be somebody that was very real on and off camera, but even that, I got all these different blank theories about me, and I get it. Now I understand because I talked about certain things in the kind of genre I was in. It left me open and vulnerable for people to speculate and be mean. Like, again, I didn't understand the crowd I was dealing with. But I heard a couple of really interesting points when I was listening to them, and then Trisha responded to that as well. And I listened to Trisha's response, and at the end of the day, I have to say, even though Trisha does have her issues, I see Trisha's point of view. That not to say that I'm not justifying anything. I'm not saying she is right, because I'm also not saying she is wrong, because I'm saying I really understand a lot of her points. And this is what I want to go into. So first, in the podcast, you'll hear Ethan say, well, she's saying all these things about, we trigger her intentionally. That's not the case. But then you hear him say, yeah, but the whole show is about triggering each other and poking fun. So I was like, well, that's kind of a discrepancy. But to give credit, right? To give credit when you're listening to it, he does say, look, I'm trying to be sensitive to her mental health issues. I try not to take things personally. And you hear that from both of them. And it does seem like on some level they are putting forth energy to try to be accommodating to her. Here's a big problem I see about the show itself, and not just that show, but the commentary culture as a whole. So Ethan and Hila came up on that time of YouTube when there was a lot of anything goes, right? You had that guy who made his audience do the snakes in the comments, leaf something. Y'all know what I'm talking about? He was like gonna surpass PewDiePie. Like, it was a very different time. I think 2015, 16, right? And YouTube had not done, I think they had started censorship to some extent, but not done the rampant built up. And as much as I hate it so much. I wish I could curse and have fun with you guys again, but I hate the YouTube censorship. At the same time, to be fair to YouTube, I understand it, because this is coming from somebody who put themselves out there in that kind of commentary community, the type of commentary community that they're in. There's a lot of masked bullyism. There is bullyism a word? Sound off in the comments. Is that even a word? But there's a lot of masked bullying. And it's very interesting because here's what a lot of these types of people, and I'm not going to call anyone out specifically. That's not my goal. This isn't, again, I'm not trying to create drama. I'm just trying to add to what I could hope be a helpful conversation for people. And just show a different perspective that maybe, again, could be helpful. But when I'm looking at this and I'm trying to break it down, this is what I see from this side. It's a lot of bullying masked with buzzwords and buzz phrases. If you guys have watched me for a long time, you know I try to really dismantle buzzwords, buzz phrases, assumptions, and really get down to the meat and bones of something so we can really understand it. Because when you use buzzwords and buzz phrases to justify or excuse a behavior or a pattern of speech or a thought process that could be detrimental, then people just make assumptions on it and then they just go along with it, and then suddenly it becomes a cultural norm. That's why you could, back in the 90s, you could kind of do anything nasty and go, it's the 90s. It was like, well, that doesn't mean what? So because we're in this time era, you can be disrespectful and rude to people. So it gets really interesting. Another one, I feel like I should make a whole video about this. I truly don't understand sports. Now, I grew up, I played sports growing up and I liked playing it. I don't understand the spectating. One thing, can somebody tell me in the comments, and I have a male friend who he and roommate just laugh at me and think I'm the dumbest person because they think my argument is so silly. I'm like, okay, why is it in sports? I understand people screaming go or to go, or like I lived in Europe. And in Europe, like in France with soccer, LA, to go. I get it. You're saying, get the action done. I want you to get done. But why is it, why? Why the baby? Every time you hear sports, yeah, baby! And I know because I worked at the NBA. Like I did marketing. I managed marketing contracts with some of the players. I worked at the NBA in Oklahoma, and I've done so many different management promotions and just even lower level promotions, with different sports types of things. And on top of that, like I come from Kansas City, and I think our sports teams over the last few years did well because every time. And I know this only because I go on Facebook and I see just a wall of, yeah, Bible, and I'm just like, what's the baby in the sports? Like, what's the connotation with putting that phrase in there? I don't know. And then I like really think about it, and I'm like, where does the origin come from? And I try to ask my male friend, a good friend of mine, and then I also ask roommate, and they just laugh and they're like, it doesn't have to mean anything. I'm like, well, yeah, but it just bothers me. I don't get it. Like, it's like, would you just say, yeah, dear, honey, sweetie? Like, I just don't get it, right? That's just me. So sound off in the comments if you have any ideas about that. I feel like maybe I'll make a video about that. Bible, yeah, Bible Chiefs, Bible. Don't get it. But, anyways, I told you this is going to be all over the place. I try to remove the buzzwords, the buzz phrases, the frill, the pomp from things and try to get to the center of something, right? That's what I like to do. And here's kind of some of the conclusions that I've come to in watching this and kind of seeing what they're doing. I feel like Trisha's right in that there's a lot of hypocrisy. But I think, and this is the interesting part, I do think everybody is trying. As I said, that side of YouTube, it's commentary. Oh, this is what I was getting at. So this is what they do. I feel like to mask being able to be bullies, they say it's criticism. And if you don't want to take their bullying, or you say, please don't bully me, well, you can't take criticism. And I feel like we have used the word criticism as a way to covertly bully people and get away with it. And look, I know because I was in that commentary place, right? I know from being somebody who gave commentary and somebody who had to take it. And I don't agree with that. And I think the problem is that Ethan and Hila, they come up from my perspective, and maybe I'm wrong, this is just how I've seen it. They kind of come from that side of the internet. And here's what I've learned about that side of the internet. Side of the internet, a lot of those creators that make content like that, I'm going to be really honest with you, they're really big babies. Not all of them. And what I mean by that is they can dish it, and they rarely can take it. Rarely. And they are always the ultimate, victim in a situation. And you're the horrible villain, but yet when they do it to everybody else, it's just criticism. Learn how to take criticism and you blah, blah, blah. And a lot of these people, it's interesting. They'll kind of go, they'll talk about, well, I've been through horrible things. I've been through negativity. I've been through abuse in my life, and you shouldn't stay in it. But then it's like they intentionally go and try to create a toxic environment for some people that they decide to make targets, and they justify it. And nobody really has the depth of thought to go in there and see what they're doing, or they know it and they just don't care, which is worse. It's like, are you just mindlessly going along with something because you think it's okay because you're not the butt of the joke right now? And again, I'm guilty of it in the sense of I've been there. I remember I did a video. I think you guys remember Copper Cab. I love Copper Cab. I did a video where I was kind of joking, and I know he kind of he's a provocateur. He provokes people, and he kind of intentionally does things sometimes, and sometimes he doesn't. That's kind of my understanding. And a lot of these people too, they like Trisha, they blur the lines between trolling and, trying to be real and be authentic. But I was making fun of his stutter because I thought it was an act. And when I found out it wasn't, I went above and beyond to apologize. Most people in the commentary community, almost none of them do that. You'll notice very few ever apologize, even if they're wrong, even if they know they're wrong. Because they know that the environment that they're in is so toxic that if they call themselves out for something they've done wrong, then it gives license and it gives an invitation for other people to do that. And by the way, what I'm saying about that side of the internet, I'm not saying or suggesting that Ethan and Hila are just a bunch of babies that can handle criticism. I don't know them that well. I'm just saying that's a lot of those people on that side of the internet. I've noticed a lot of that in general. And with that, I feel like comes a lot of hypocrisy. And Trisha was really calling out how hypocritical it was. First of all, it sounds like there's a ton of miscommunication. Even Hila had admitted, I should have communicated directly with Trisha, this sort of thing. And but here's the other thing too. It sounds like this is from everybody. The premise of this show is to mock and make fun of and poke fun of Trisha and her antics. Even, Ethan talked about that, her and her antics. And this is where I take an issue. I think that the show, and Trisha kind of alluded to this in her video the other day, this is exploiting her mental health issues and the issues of her having a lack of respect from people. And I talked about this in the other video, but Trisha really much embodies that societal archetype of the blonde bombshell bimbo. I'm not saying she's that. I'm saying that, and I'm not saying I believe that about her. I think she's guys, to be in a position of success, you've got to be incredibly intelligent. Don't care who you are. Don't care what the situation is. You have intelligence there. She's very intelligent. But this is a label that society is very comfortable putting women into, kind of a ditzy category or a ditzy role. I can somewhat relate to this. I've never been the blonde bombshell by any means. But in my situation, I grew up, and in my family it was, my older sibling is the smart one, the academic, and I'm the creative, aloof one. And I remember sometimes kind of almost playing into that. And people really, as well, I was the youngest. It was a toxic environment. People didn't respect me. People didn't take me seriously. They looked at me as an afterthought. I really wasn't there for any reason unless I was people pleasing or giving something or doing something for them or achieving something to try to get love, if that makes sense. And I feel like a lot of women end up falling into that because we still have a society that very much objectifies us, what looks at us as objects and not people. And I feel like in the position that Trisha is in, that's what people tend to do to her. It very much scared me yesterday when she said she idolized, and it was iconic, and she brought up Anna Nicole Smith. And that when people had told Anna Nicole Smith, people exploiting me, she said, as long as they're paying me. It's like, girl, that, I know you love Marilyn Monroe, but look at the end for these people. Doing that doesn't get you where you need to be. But here's the side of the argument we don't see. I don't really blame Trisha that much. A lot of people, because here's what happens in society. They look at Trisha, they look at what she does, they look at how she reacts, and they're going to go, oh, she's crazy. It's another just crazy female. With women, we're always just crazy. You know why they don't call men crazy? Because when men get to that point, they physically hurt us or kill us. Like, let me be very clear. I'm being very honest. That's what men end up doing to women, and most of us take it. Unless you were married to a high school sweetheart or you were lucky and found an amazing man, I don't know any woman that doesn't have a scary story about a guy. That's right. And I almost know no men that can tell me a story where a woman put them in a position of, not being safe. But that is common with women. It's interesting. I went from doing those anti-SJW videos, and I still, agree with and like some of the things that I said, but I feel like the Me Too movement really opened my eyes to the things I was blind to about myself and my past and me as a woman in society and how I've been treated by people, by friends, by relationships, by family. And so when I look at this, let me tell you what I see with Trisha. I see a woman that says, people aren't going to take me seriously. They're not going to respect me. They're not going to be supportive of me. I might as well profit where I can off of the crap and the abuse they're going to put me through. So she ends up submitting, and she says, I'm going to profit off the abuse. And in essence, if you look at the logic of it, it's a smart way to be. You're going to treat me like this? Well, I'm at least going to make sure I'm safe and secure financially. I'll allow you to do it and even be in on it. And she even admits that she knows this is happening. She allows it. She knows it's not that healthy, but this is what she signed up for. We know if you have a bad job, that will give you very bad mental health issues. And I'm not saying the job has given it to her. I think she's probably had issues for a long time. And the problem, as I said in the last video, I think Trisha got too successful too quickly, too young. And I'm not knocking her. It's not a diss to her. I'm not trying to be disrespectful to her as a person, but this is a very common thing when it comes to what can happen to people if they get too successful at too young of an age and they haven't figured out their issues. They can kind of get stuck there. So I think Trisha is dealing with the narrative that is forced upon her and countless other women. It happens to me too. And I'll tell you guys, like, watch, it might, I hope this doesn't happen, but when I actually shrink up and I start to look, really cute again, and I know considering what I used to look like, yeah, this has shrunk, but I mean like 30, 40, 50 pounds from now, when I look back to myself and I look kind of cute, it's interesting, just the huge shift of how people treat you, and how much people will treat you differently. Men many times will look at you just as an object for gratification and to go after you for that and be manipulative for that. And women will hate you because you get to look cute and they don't for some reason, or they can't get that type of body, and so they're just going to be mean to you. it's really weird. But then, of course, when you're big, you get a lot of, people judging you and being mean to you in society. Like, I just had a comment from somebody who's left several not nice comments, and they said, once you've been that big, I can never respect you. And it's like, wow, I hope, this is a male, I'm like, I hope you don't get anybody pregnant. Like, I hope you never have to encounter women who have health issues, because this is what our society does to women like us. Many women, I feel like, have turned to body positivity. And look, some women overeat, some women overindulge, just like all people, and they put themselves in that situation. But I feel like many women, no matter what they do, they can't lose weight. They struggle with weight no matter how hard they try. They can have the perfect diet. This was rampant among all the girls I grew up with. We grew up in, this situation where everybody had eating issues, please infer, because that was rampant. And I'm like, what's happening to women's health care? Something's happening to women's health. I'm sorry, this video is going to be a little bit all over the place, but I have a lot of compassion when I look at Trisha, because I can hear people say, well, she knowingly puts herself in that position. Yeah, but I think in society as women, we're brainwashed to believe many times that this is the best we're going to get. Do you guys, when I left the first Joy Sparkle channel, do you guys know how many people said, she's gone, she's done, we've ruined her, she'll never come back? And they were so excited. It took me, when did I leave? I left so I came back for like 3 months, left the second time, late 2018. So it took me almost 3 years to come back to this channel. And I really believe that. Is it 3? I think 3, give or take. My math might be a bit off. And I really believe that narrative. And so it can really be hard to break out of the archetype people put you in, especially if you decide, I'm going to start out and have a career in this. The other thing is, what can be very scary, I went through this fear, is that if you put yourself on the internet and people say all kinds of horrible things, make things up, or let's say sometimes you make mistakes. I've made mistakes, as you guys know. That's going to follow you around for the rest of your life. You're never going to be able to have a normal job, a normal position, and that's absolutely not true. In fact, a lot of the work that I got after that, and as I was physically getting better, was as a result of what I did on YouTube. So what I'm saying is, there's a lot of mental conditioning that goes along with this that can make somebody get and feel trapped. And I feel like what we're looking at is, we're looking at a woman who is desperate to want to fix herself, desperate to get better, but she consistently continues to keep herself in a toxic job that is hurting her and is not good for her. And overall, she allows people to consistently disrespect her for money. And as a result of that, I don't know that she can ever be in a position to find peace. She's said in that video, she's talked about it, and she's like, my mental health issues, I've gone to psychiatrists, I've gone to counselors, I'm doing it, but it doesn't fully work. And I do think she's working on herself, right? I'm not saying that she isn't, but I think to really get better, you have to make a firm stance in your life and say, I'm no longer going to let people disrespect me and mistreat me. And I'm going to control the things I can. And here's the thing, there are some things you can't control in your life, right? So like, if I put myself on the internet, there are going to be some people who are mean. I can't control that. But she's making business decisions based off of allowing the people she works with to continue to put out this narrative and put out the persona of her that you are not to be taken seriously and you are somebody we can disrespect. And here's the thing, she agrees to it, but I don't think she really agrees to it deep down. Maybe contractually, maybe on the surface. Because if she really was okay with that behavior, she wouldn't have these blow-ups. And the blow-ups are, you take and take and take and take stuff, and you're brainwashed to believe this is how it should be, this is what I'm worth, but your soul knows different, and your soul wants to break out of that, and at some point, all of it comes bubbling out. And then you see her go into a rage, or she loses it, and everybody says, oh, she's crazy. I don't think she's crazy. And I'm not saying she doesn't have mental health problems, but I'm saying those behaviors are indicative of somebody who is in nonstop toxicity, somebody that needs to get out of toxicity. And I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm not saying she has to leave the internet to be able to fix this. I would say that would be a really good thing. I understand the fear of it. I had the fear of it. Can I come back? Can I do anything? I totally get that fear. I've been there. But on the flip side, I'm not saying, I never say never. I'm not saying things are impossible, but I think she has to start setting really strong boundaries. So the fact that they have a whole show and the premise is kind of make fun of Trisha, pick on Trisha, but we all can pick on each other. Well, that's going to lead to fights and toxicity. And then, Ethan was saying, well, the crap is when it spills over into our real lives. And do we want that? Yeah, but that's what it is. And I don't think it's fair for you guys to have a show where everything with Trisha, within reason, I'm sure there are about some boundaries, but you guys can just, make fun of her to the hilt and back and push buttons for her, but then you guys want to have these strict rules for yourselves. That's why, in my opinion, she's saying you guys are kind of acting holier than thou. And I think because they come from that side of the internet where they're the ones giving criticism and they're the ones, kind of doing some of that behavior. I think they're better at it over the years. I think they've softened and become nicer. But, they kind of become hypocrites to that. I don't think it's a healthy show, honestly, for anybody. And on top of that, I agree with Trisha when she's like, they're upset about, Hila's upset about, I don't want my family being out there. But then your brother is so Trisha's dating Hila's brother, and they've nonstop picked apart and picked at their relationship and put it out there between Hila and Ethan and their own shows. So I look at that, and here's the thing. Well, here's the other hard part too. When you look at everybody, I think everybody in the situation is kind of well-intentioned. It looks like a bunch of well-intentioned people who are misunderstanding each other. And I think the big thing is that, and this is where my heart goes out to her, I think Trisha has just been in so many positions where she is made to feel less than. And I don't want to put people in this profession down, but she said she had done, she has been a stripper. And I'm not trying to be disrespectful to that. But that's a world of, in my opinion, on some level, physical exploitation for money. And what I mean by that is your health. It is not a safe world to be in. Let's take out everything we could argue. It can cause a lot of issues. And for Trisha, it caused her health issues where she doesn't know if she can ever have a baby. So she's already had the cost to her health. That world is not a physically healthy world that you can be. It's very concerning with what can happen there. And then again, you are saying, I'm going to degrade myself. I'm going to degrade my health. I'm going to put my health I'm going to put myself not in a state of safety as a result to get money because my worth has been so diminished in society. I don't think Trisha is completely like, oh, I'm worthless. I don't think she completely thinks she doesn't have worth, but I think in many situations she now puts herself into with her online career, that's what she does. And I think she thinks it's normal. And I just kind of look at this and I say, and then you see her and my heart goes out to her because she cries. And I can hear people say, oh, she's manipulating her audience. I don't really necessarily think that's it. I think she really is desperate to want to get better and want to change. She feels bad when she blows up. But I think it's like, girl, you got to see the patterns of why you blow up. And it looks like, from an outside perspective, again, I don't know, I'm not on the inside. Being on the inside, you're going to get more perspective on it, obviously, and some people are very different. But it looks like when you put yourself in a position where you allow people to consistently degrade you, you can't be healthy. You can't react to things in a healthy manner. There's no real way to do that because there's a part of you that's always in some type of survival mode, And of course it can feel better once you have the blow up and say what you want to say and then you go right back to the patterns. If you don't fix that, you got to set strong boundaries. And this is why everybody says when you're in a toxic relationship, a relationship that, can be verbally, mentally, physically bad for you, leave. Because because of the toll it takes on you as a person. And I think that it breaks my heart. She's like, I don't want to do these things. I don't want to react and I can't control it. And I think, well, girl, because you're not putting yourself around people who have the best interest for you and really respect you, that's what's happening. And that's not to put down Ethan and Hila. I don't think they're aware that this is an issue. I don't think that in their thinking, well, the show is all about entertainment. So it's okay to kind of mock. She's okay with it. But it's not okay to do to somebody in terms of their health. And I don't think they see that because of how they got successful coming up on that side of the internet. So it's really interesting to look at. And Trisha calls them out on the hypocrisy. And then they say stuff like, well, when we do something, it's funny. But if she does it, it's not funny. She's like, oh, so you guys are the ones that get to dictate what the entertainment value and everything. And I think she's absolutely right. Again, I think that's kind of it's kind of this entitlement and there's a lot of that. There's a lot of this egotistical, full of yourself entitlement that criticism type of commentary community on YouTube can have. And that's kind of what I see from this. And, I would never try to tell somebody what to do. It's not my place. It's not my business, not my life, right? But I would just really hope and pray at some point Trisha finds the strength, the courage, and the value in herself to start really putting herself first and saying, I am going to allow myself to surround myself with people who will love me and treat me with kindness and respect because I deserve that and I will demand that from people. And when they don't give that to me, my boundaries are so strong that I'm able to walk away calmly. I think that could greatly help her mental state and peace of mind, and it could give her peace because she's like, I'm in a war with myself between I don't care what people think and I care so much about what people think. She's in these wars with herself because she is succumbing to certain toxicities that end up spilling over and then she becomes toxic in herself. If she doesn't want to become a toxic person, she's got to get rid of the toxicity. And that starts with setting your boundaries and saying, I'm worth it. And I feel like in society, we as women have to get to that point. We absolutely do. I feel like a lot of what I went through in my life, I feel like was, now I look back at the family stuff, the bad relationships, the illness from, a birth control device that went rogue, which happens for many women. And, or just birth controls in general. And I look at it and I say, I think this was a tool. This was a transformative tool for me to be able to stand my ground and say, I'm worthy and I'm worth something. And I'm worth it to have people love me and respect me. And I'm worth it to demand that of people. And not in a way where you're, entitled or egotistical, but where, if you don't want to hurt other people, then why would you allow yourself to hurt yourself? And I've done that for so many years. And that comes from people pleasing. So this is just something I wanted to kind of elaborate a little more on some of that. And I hope if they, go back to that show. And, I've watched some of it recently and it's entertaining. There's a lot of entertainment value in it. But and it's funny. I like watching Trisha call Ethan out on some stuff. She actually calls him out on some of the things I'm talking about a little bit. She's like, you can make fun of whoever you want. You can say whatever you want. But the moment somebody says something about you, you're the ultimate victim. And I'm like, that's the criticism commentary community. That's a lot of what they do. And I love that she's calling them out because it's true. And it's and you know what it is? I gotta tell you, it typically is these white, fragile men. And I'm not trying to throw, a skin color into it necessarily, but I'm telling you, most of that criticism commentary, that's what it is. And I'm not putting them down. I'm not putting down anybody for any skin color, including white men. That's not what I'm trying to do. I'm just saying they seem to be the most sensitive, but let's be honest. I'm not saying they haven't been through anything, because at this point, everybody is struggling and suffering in our society, but they don't understand what it's like to have your hormones manipulated. They don't know what it's like for the world to tell you, you need to be so thin that you look like you're about to be in the Holocaust. Otherwise, you're fat, you're disgusting, nobody will love you, nobody will want you, and now we're going to completely mess with your hormones, so you never can be thin. They don't know what it's like to have your hormones messed with and be sick and have nobody believe you. They don't know what it's like to have the minority injustices. They don't know. The world, in many ways, is tailored and catered to them. Not that they don't go through challenges. We're all going through stuff. And it's hard. But it's not the same as women and minorities. That is something that over the last few years, I've had a big eye-opening towards. And, and again, I'm not sitting here trying to blame or persecute or be mean to anybody. I just want to give some insight into how I see women are treated in this society and to tell Trisha, I send you love, girl. I support you. And what I'm saying is a journey for everybody. And I think you're in your late 20s, early 30s, right? And I don't mean any disrespect by that. What I mean by that is I'm 36 and I'm still on the journey. It can take time. And I just hope that whatever you choose to do, you choose to make the healthiest, best decisions for you in your life so you become the best, healthiest version of yourself that I know and you know that you want to be. That's all. I just wish that for you in whatever that journey is. Okay, guys, if you like this video, you like my little extra commentary on this, please give me a big thumbs up, like the video, support the channel, subscribe, hit notifications. That way when I upload videos, you can know what's there and you can go look at it, and I'd be happy to have you. Also, leave comments. I'd love to hear your guys' opinions. I'd love to know, do you guys like this kind of content? Do you not? Is it too repetitive? I know sometimes I can be a little bit repetitive about things. I just wanted to do a follow-up to this one and maybe kind of go a little bit deeper into some things and look at some things I hadn't seen. Like the video and share it with people you think might be like-minded. I would really appreciate that. Also, go to my other channel, Katie's Insight. That's where you can find me. Like the page, subscribe. What am I talking about? Subscribe and hit notifications. I'm helping you guys find stimulus money in your area. Make sure and hit notifications. That way, if stimulus money pops up in your area, you'll be one of the first to know, and I can help you out with that. And I love nothing more than to be able to do that for you guys. So, okay, I think I'm going to go ahead and end this here for now. Let me know what you think. Again, apologies for the sweatshirt, but I also shouldn't have to apologize for it. But it's the place that we live. It's the world we live in. So many double standards on women. All right, guys, take care. Blessings. Lots of love. Until the next video. Hugs and kisses. Bye, guys.